And so does this not look like a degenerate gambling addict? Gambling on 2 computer screens at the same time because it's not getting that dopamine fix quite enough. And so here's the thing, because he's used to this, it's not giving him the same rush he once had. Coach Greg, in today's video, Togi hits it big. No, he doesn't. You're thinking, but oh, he won $60,000. The guy has made it. Coach Doucette won't show this classic. 99% of gamblers quit before the big win. And so here's the thing. Togi has lost close to $1 million from gambling. On one day, he loses close to $200,000, and another day he makes $60,000, and what do you all remember? He won $60,000. Coach Greg's a moron. You guys are all idiots. No wonder so many people failed math when I was a school teacher. This is better than the Olympics. Well, in this year's Olympics, I could see that being the case. There were some highs, some lows, some different storylines. I'm not even going to get into them. Bro, $60K, that's crazy. Let's go, Togi gang. And so this is the problem. Y'all remember the good and you forget the bad. Funny how it's the opposite when you're reading comments. 99% of people will say something positive, 1% say something negative about you, and you remember the negative. Should have put it all on black again. You aren't dedicated enough, clearly. And so there it is. If you keep betting, eventually you're going to lose it all. You're thinking, no, if I quit while I'm ahead, if I quit at the right times, then I'm going to be a millionaire. No, you're not. Put everything on black again. And so, do you see the difference between Togi's fans and Coach Greg? Togi's fans want to see him lose it all. Well, they do want to see him win it all, and then they want him to keep betting that money until he loses it all because it's more entertaining. It's more fun to see Togi throw the couch and the chairs across the room and ruin his life and see what he's going to say next. But Coach Greg, on the other hand, oh, he's a bad person for talking about Togi and going over his blood work saying he's going to lead to an early death. It's all bad from Coach Greg.
You guys know this guy right here? I don't know, you might know him, you might not. But I've been a fan of his for a long time. I always thought he was dope. He's got a great physique. He seems like a cool guy.
And so Jeanette Kanamali done a video on this guy. He's the guy with the Halloween mask. Guy's on a lot of gear, young guy, also going to shorten his life. And so Togi writes him a DM. I remember seeing you at 60K. Glad to see you getting the recognition that you deserve. Keep it up, brah. Handshake. He's a fan. Togi looks up to this guy, idolizes him. He giving him his props. What does the guy do in return?
Togi is small over his right. The video would have been the exact same. What?
I mean, what is the point of this? You're a bodybuilder on loads of gear. Togi is some guy that gambles, that happens to take steroids and works out once or twice a week. He doesn't even care. He doesn't brag about his size, doesn't claim to be some big bodybuilder. And so you go and pick on him. Where did these bros fall off?
You know what's hard? The hardest part about streaming is not saying the N-word live, dude.
You think it's working up hungover from whatever you did the night before, having to go about your day, or perhaps going to the gym with a headache, or having to edit all his videos, putting all that work in? The hardest part is not saying the N-word while live on a stream. I mean, I can think of so many harder things than that, but in Togi's life, that is the hardest one of all.
Oh, wait, this is low risk.
Yeah, no, get off this shit.
All right, damn, dude. I thought we were in consensus that we all wanted to play Plinko.
No one ever said that.
How is he again playing Plinko? Y'all are saying Coach Greg won't show this classic 99% of gamblers quit before the big win. But are you trying to suggest that he just keeps betting more? That he should now risk perhaps $200,000 and win it all back? And then what if he wins that? Then he has to bet $400,000, then $800,000, $1.6 million, $3.2, $6.4, $13.2. The numbers keep getting bigger and bigger. You can't just keep gambling forever.
It has to be 13 or it's dark. Oh my god, it's 9.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We have $140. I think we just Plinko it.
Oh, we were doing so good, too.
This is what happens. You can get lucky for a little while. You can gamble and perhaps win briefly if you only did it once in your life. But if you keep gambling consistently, if you do it every day, every week, every month, and you do it long enough, you are going to lose. That is how it works, because it's statistics and it's odds. And you can't simply win more than the odds dictate. That's the whole point of having odds. That's why people gamble. That's why people own casinos. They pay out less than they take in, and this is how it works.
What is that?
$4,000! $4,000! Big! Woo! Cash!
And so what I'm noticing is his excitement when he wins, it's greater than his disappointment when he loses. He can win $4,000 and get so excited, but yet when he loses slowly over the course of 50 minutes, he's kind of like, yeah, you know, we lost this one. I should have quit when we were ahead, but no big deal. Let's just try a different gambling game. Let's go on a different site. That's the problem. The win, it's fast. Just like that. You get excited. It's a rush of dopamine. The rinse happens a little slower. It takes time. He's not betting it all on black and it's over, yes or no, positive or negative in a matter of seconds. It's a slow rinse. Sometimes the money goes up and then it slowly goes down, up and down. It's like the stock market. And so you have to be ready for those fluctuations. But at least in crypto and in stocks and so on, overall, it can in fact go up. There's at least a chance. But in gambling, there is none. You are eventually going to lose everything.
Okay, we're out. 10,000x! We just casted 10,000x!
No.
That's the biggest win I've ever won!
And so what does he then immediately do with those winnings? He's back to Plinko. I mean, Plinko to Togi is equivalent to that ex-girlfriend that you just can't get out of your mind. The one that treats you like garbage, but that you keep going to. What is wrong with you? Are you an idiot? Can you not get her out of your head? Go to something different? At least lose your money somewhere else. Same as in a relationship. Hey, once you've gotten through that relationship and it didn't work out and you tried it again and it didn't work out, are we not learning from something? Are we not going to learn and perhaps try and up another relationship somewhere else, something different? Why are we continuing to go back to the same person?
We're gambling. I have a new strategy. We've tried everything. We tried just raw dogging gambling, you know, because it's due. And I've learned that it's never due.
You see, all along, he didn't have a plan. He just raw dogged it. He showed up, he bet his money, and eventually he lost it. But now he's developed a system. Said every gambling degenerate ever. Togi, you need to touch grass. It's cap. There's no system that's going to help you win in the world of gambling.
As some of you guys know, I make a pretty big chunk of my income comes from selling drugs to minors.
And so hopefully he isn't selling drugs to minors. He says it's a joke. We don't know if that's to be true. We don't know if he is or if he isn't. I mean, frankly, I'm starting to wonder. How is he getting all this money that he can afford to lose in gambling? It's coming from somewhere. I would hope it's from selling his clothing line, perhaps from YouTube ad revenue. He's getting more views than last time, and so perhaps he's getting a couple extra $1,000 here and there to allow him to pursue his gambling, of which he just then loses it all, borrows money from his friends and loses their money too.
We need a reliable way of guaranteeing that we can win money every time, and I'm starting to think that it might potentially not be Joe Biden. Maybe it's God.
And so that is going to help out with your gambling. And so what do? You go to the gas station, you find somebody that you like, a nice sweet old lady, and then you give her all the money. That might lead to you getting laid, and so let's give it a try. Now, remember, I watched Alex Eubanks' podcast with Andrew Eubanks. In it, they talked about Lord Jesus doing things, and so perhaps this is Andrew's influence on Togi. Togi, when you gamble, give all the money away to a sweet old woman, and this might end up getting you laid. And you're all here for it.
So I'm trying to like curate good karma, you know what I mean? So I was wondering if I could give you some money, just so I can get some good karma going for myself. Here's 500.
And so he's decided to spread out the good karma. He's given away $500 to a guy taking his order. And so he's doing some good deeds. And so will this in fact work?
I literally need to pay my rent. And
Oh yeah, end of the month, it's perfect timing.
Yo, man.
That's good timing, end of the month. I forgot rent is due. Speaking of which, I have not paid my rent.
And so if you give someone else the money that you were supposed to pay for your rent, you do a good deed, you give your money away to them and they pay their rent, but then you can't pay your own rent, are you in fact a good person?
We've only really been working out like once, twice a week, and I said last video I'm trying to lock in and shit. I don't think I'm ever gonna lock in my whole life ever again.
And so all of you who are here for the fitness content, Togi says, look, I'm not gonna lock in. I've already got the physique I want. I was considering going on more cycles, perhaps training harder than last time, dialing it in, getting locked in, doing it for the plot, but I've decided it's just not worth it. I don't really care that much.
I don't think I'm ever gonna lock in my whole life ever again. I did the locked in thing. I locked in when I got jacked, and now it's like, do I really need to be more jacked?
And so he's done it. He's already been locked in. I mean, he put in several months. straight. Obviously, with intermittent bouts of degenerate gambling and sniffing creatine, getting drunk, high, and so on. And so, yeah, I locked it in. Right? Right, guys? It was locked in. I mean, Coach Greg's been training harder than last time, been competing since high school, has never taken a week off, but, you know, Togi, he locked it in.
Or can I just keep taking testosterone, keep upping the dose of the testosterone, and that will keep the muscles?
Well, listen, this is bullshit. You do, in fact, need to work out, but everyone keeps talking about some stupid study. You guys don't know how to read a study. You don't have the knowledge, the science, the brain power to actually decipher what's going on. So when you read a study that says that when guys take testosterone, for example, 600 milligrams a week, that they put on more muscle than guys that go to the gym that do it natural. And so you don't have to work out. You don't have to do anything. As long as you're on testosterone, you're going to grow muscle. You need a stimulus for muscle growth to occur. In order to build muscle, you need water, you need protein, you need energy, and a stimulus for that growth to occur. The stimulus being working out, or at least climbing the stairs, something to build up the muscle that you're talking about, something to make the muscle want to get bigger.
But I'll tell you what, it is a bummer when the only thing growing on your body is your
Kirk!
gyno.
And so think a little bit, guys. In that study where they're taking testosterone, does testosterone not make you hold on to water? And so what do you think they did? They probably used a DEXA scan, of which it can't determine body fat percentage. And so it thinks that the water that you've been holding on to, that bloat, that they think that that's all muscle. And so, wow, you took steroids, you didn't work out, and you put on 8 or 10 pounds of muscle. Did you really? Try it. Or don't. Coach Greg says don't do steroids. Only take them with the advice and consent from your doctor. Never, ever break the law.
What I was thinking is potentially giving money to a crackhead, you know, because that's the person that needs it the most.
No, the crackhead needs it the least. The crackhead needs to get off of the drug. They need less money so they can't afford any of the drugs so that they can then get sober. You can give them food, you can give them clothing, but you don't give the crackhead money. That is equivalent to fueling his crack addiction. It's kind of like when you give Togi money. It's going to fuel his gambling problems. What you need to do is not give people like this money. Say no to giving people money.
I'm trying to get better karma for myself. You know, so I was wondering if I could give you this. It's $500.
And so look at the smile on this cashier's face. Now, listen to this. Waitresses, they get this every day. Maybe not at every restaurant or every store in the world, but waitresses oftentimes are getting money from strangers who sit and go to eat. And so this, in my opinion, is just a very massive tip. $500 is about $50,000 Canadian. That is a lot of money. And so imagine how excited she is. And so imagine how excited waitresses are. Thing is, they're not. Do you know why? I'll tell you why. Because you become desensitized. The first time you get that $100 tip at a restaurant, you're thinking, wow, this feels so good. You think this is amazing. Then you get perhaps a $200 tip. You came home at the end of the night, $500 in tips, and you're thinking, how is this possible? I'm a waitress. I never went to university. I didn't know I'd make this much money. I'm making 6 figures a year. I'm waitressing. Yeah, I know it took 5 years to be a school teacher, nurse, or doctor, and so on, but I'm making more money waitressing. Or perhaps it's being a bartender in a club, a bottle girl, so to speak, or perhaps you're working on OF. Regardless of where you're working, once you get used to that money, you're used to getting that many tips, it becomes the new norm, the baseline. And so that dopamine that you got every time you got a massive tip, it no longer gets as massive. It's not a big deal. And so at this point, the only thing that's going to get you that much excitement is perhaps a $1,000 tip. You're making $500 every night in tips. Somebody gives you $1,000 all at once. Wow, I feel good. But even that becomes boring. And so this is the problem with trying to get dopamine from getting more. Getting after more, achieving more. Eventually, it's going to stop. It's impossible to keep on going. And so if you decide to use steroids and you put on 10 pounds of muscle the first month, dopamine is through the roof. It's enormous. It's amazing. Problem is, it's not going to keep going. You'll never get those results again. And so the gains, they keep going down. And so eventually you put on 2 or 3 pounds in perhaps 6 months and you're thinking, this is shit. I don't want to work out, and you quit. You go off cycle, you lose a bunch of muscle, you stop training, then you go back on cycle and join the gym, and it's fun again. You're getting some dopamine. Wow, look how much muscle I put on. But you had a new baseline. You got desensitized to making all those gains, and so you need to have a new baseline. You're going to get used to making all those gains. And if you become a waitress, you're going to get used to all those tips. If you have a great boyfriend, you're going to be used to him treating you like an angel. And so no matter what, you're going to get used to whatever you're doing. And so you have to stop depending on that dopamine for happiness. Rather than seeking out the dopamine, the reward, you need to be doing it for yourself. You need to focus on gratitude, happiness for what you've achieved, what you've already achieved. Looking back, thinking, wow, I've made millions of dollars, got millions of subs, done so many amazing things. You can't keep thinking, I have to make more money. I have to get more followers, because if you do, eventually you're not going to be able to. And so you have to just be content and happy. Reflect on what you've done. Not saying you shouldn't try to continue to improve yourself, but be reflective and happy for what you've done.
Fish oils. At a certain point, it's got to be a negative ROI. Like the cholesterol is getting fixed, or so they say.
Yes, I don't think taking all these fish oils is going to help you to get more girls. It's just like the old adage, too much of a good thing is not a good thing. For example, if you take 1 scoop of hardcore pre-workout, probably going to help you have a good workout. 1.5 scoops, maybe a little more. 2 scoops, this is your maximum. Anything beyond this point, it's going to hurt you. And so if you try doing 3 or 4 scoops, it's not good. Same applies to almost anything, even water. Too much of a good thing is bad, and so same applies to fish oil. You probably shouldn't be using 100 fish oils a day.
I need to gamble today. I've been holding off the gambling for a long time, and I'm fiending to get a little fucking plinky balls in. So we're gonna have to get our good karma elsewhere.
And so he's fiending to get into the gambling, the plinkle balls, but he has to do his good deeds first. And so here would be my advice. Give away 90% of the money that you plan on gambling, and then just gamble the rest. At least to that extent, you're going to get the dopamine from helping other people. Wouldn't you rather have dopamine from helping other people than losing all that money in gambling?
So much. I wanted to give you a tip because I really appreciated it. Right here. I'm not doing this to be a good guy or anything. I'm just trying to
Kirk!
money gambling. It's called an investment.
I'm not doing this to be a good guy or anything. I'm just doing it to win more in gambling. Like, the thing is, it's really not going to impact whether you win in gambling or not. There's no correlating factor. Correlation does not equal causation. We don't even need to know that. It does, however, increase your chance of getting more followers. I mean, Mr. Beast did this for years. He's got well over 100 million followers. And there's nothing that's ever happened negative in Mr. Beast's life, ever. All the karma from giving away lots of money, millions of dollars and so on, curing 1,000 people's blindness, none of that could ever lead to anything ever negative associated with Mr. Beast. Right, guys? And girls and... Right? No one that worked for him did... That's all fake news. That was fake news? It's fake news, right? The whole thing with the 13-year and the friend and the fired him and didn't know and he knew about it and that's fake news.
I've tried many things in my days for acne. Nothing works as well as this shit. It's everywhere.
I would try going off steroids. I've heard that these androgens, and taking like shitloads of them, like high dose steroids can cause acne problems. I'm not sure. Maybe you could go off considering you're hardly training. But what do I know? I'm an old man. This boomer just needs to touch grass. I don't know. Perhaps it's cap.
And I'm doing a thing. I was trying to get like good karma for myself. So I was wondering if I just wanted to give you guys $1,000 for it.
No way.
And so here's the question. Can you buy good karma? Can you buy it? And so, for example, you pay somebody money and it's on film and you post about it. Can you buy karma? The good karma. Because clearly it's a good deal. He's making people happy. They're getting this money. But at the same time, he's capturing it on film and showing it. And so you're essentially paying for this good karma. Now, if you give people money and don't tell anyone about it, you don't get that same, return back. People aren't going to look at you and say, wow, what a great person. Look at all the good things he's done. And so let's imagine there's somebody out there that you don't like, but that person has given away millions of dollars. You don't know about it. They never told you about it, but they're giving away millions of dollars to charity, to goodwill, to the homeless, whatever. but they don't tell you. And you're thinking, I don't like that person. That's a bad person over there. Now, if they showed you that they gave those millions of dollars, be like, really? You give all those homeless children, all this people, all this money. It's such a great thing that you've done. Would you then change your opinion of that person, perhaps treat them different? You might. I would say you probably would. And so that person, perhaps they don't want you to know. Because if they do in fact tell you, then what are you going to say? You just gave away those millions of dollars because you want me to like you. You bought my love, you bought my affection. And so, in my opinion, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If Togi shows him giving away this good karma, you're going to say, it's for the camera, it's for the views, he's trying to make people like him. But if he doesn't show anybody, you're going to say, he's just a degenerate gambler. He's just gambling away all his money. And so, which one should he do? I don't know the answer. I'm just presenting you what's happening and asking you guys to think. What I like to do in videos is to make you think. Many people out there, especially in 2024, they can't think for themselves.
I actually feel ecstatic. For some reason, what do we take today? Semax, Celanc, 600 milligrams of caffeine, modafinil.
Yeah, is it giving away the money or is it the 600 milligrams of caffeine and a modafinil? I'm going to say it's the caffeine, modafinil, and giving the money away. I think all of them are contributing to this. And perhaps enough hours has gone by that he's no longer hungover. He hasn't consumed any drugs. He hasn't drank any alcohol. And so when that gets away, you start doing good things in your life, you're going to start to feel better.
On top of that, if we win some money, then we can give away more money. We have good intentions with the money. You know, gambling is the greedy man's game.
And so you have to admit, if Togi's doing less gambling and giving away more money to strangers that perhaps are in need of this money, doesn't that mean he's doing a better job? Doesn't that sound more Christian-like? And so perhaps Alex and Togi, that bromance, it's evolving. The glazing that was done when they looked into each other's eyes, that blue steel that was performed as they watched each other's bodies in that mirror. You remember the blue steel? You saw it.
That's the recipe for a victory freaking royale. I think we started off with no other than a couple classic Plinky balls.
We've already seen Plinko isn't the winner. We know this to be true. This clearly is Togi's ex-girlfriend. And I know it's metaphorically, but it is in fact his ex-girlfriend.
The dopamine that's hitting my brain right now, do you know what it feels like to not gamble for literally 48 hours straight?
You're trying to tell me that it's only been 48 hours since he gambled? I thought it had been since the last time he uploaded. 48 hours is all he can last between games of Plinko balls?
I've literally not gambled for at least 45 hours. I did my daily bonus this morning, but that doesn't count.
And that doesn't even count as daily bonus. He gets to gamble probably for free because then once you hit that gamble one time, it's free. Then you're sucked in and you gamble more and then you lose all your money. And so it's what they do. It's like when you go to a bar and they give you some salty nuts or some chips and then you drink that salty and you buy more beers and so on, you spend more money. It's a plan, guys.
It's been agony. This just feels, it's like, gamble, 1,000x.
And so does this not look like a degenerate gambling addict? Gambling on 2 computer screens at the same time because it's not getting that dopamine fix quite enough? And so here's the thing. Because he's used to this, it's not giving him the same rush he once had. Maybe when he first gambled, betting $1 or $2, it felt good. But then as you get accustomed to that, you get desensitized. You need to keep getting more and more and more. And so unless he's betting thousands of dollars, he's not going to get that same rush. The same as the waitress, the bartender, and so on. They're so used to getting big tips that when you go and give them a big tip and you're thinking, wow, I'm such a great tipper, they're thinking, I get that every day. Who is this schmuck?
I need to do big bets, huge bets. What do they say? You're 10 doubles away from being a millionaire?
And so now he needs to up the ante. It's time for the big bets.
I have a disease. It's in my brain. The Plinko balls have fully infiltrated my brain. I dream about Plinko balls. When I'm eating, I think about Plinko balls.
And so the solution is you need to cut Plinko balls out of your life. You need to block them on Instagram, Facebook, social media, and so on. And you never need to look at them. If you have the same circle of friends, don't go near your friends. Stay away from the Plinky ball. I'm talking about Plinky ball, not your toxic relationship. Well, actually, I'm talking about both.
A perfect balance of a healthy outdoor gambling setup, and this is how you have a healthy relationship with gambling. You know, you're outside, but you're locked in.
Locking on gambling, it just makes you lose more money. Locking in the gym, training, and so on, it perhaps gives you a better physique, increase your health, and so on. And so locking in on the gambling, it doesn't increase your odds of winning.
This is a good habit. I'm telling you guys to gamble outside and go get some fresh air, and this is an appropriate way to gamble all the while staying reasonably healthy.
It's not healthy. Just because there's fresh air blowing your face as you're drinking a carcinogen, no, it's in fact not healthy, especially considering you should be going to bed right now. I see it's pitch black outside. Perhaps go to bed. And if you can't sleep because you've got too much caffeine and modafinil, maybe try some Delta Sleep. Perhaps I'll recommend the max 3 pills of this. Don't take 100, Togi. Just 3 pills and go to bed. Imagine how much money you would save. Code Greg 15% off. That'll sell you money on this. But if you took Delta Sleep and you went to bed before betting all your life savings away, imagine the money that Delta Sleep can save.
I'm not gonna lie, that's it. I'm a coward.
But bang! We just turned $1,000 into 16,000. Who does that? The Goggins are gambling. The Goggins are gambling.
You see this negative self-talk and then hyping himself up and forcing himself to think he has to do it. He has to bet all this money. He's already thinking ahead, trying to get $1 million. He did the math wrong. He didn't know how many times he had to double his money to get the goal that he had in mind. He said, I'm 50% of the way there. He has like $8,000. How is 8 grand 50% of the way there? You're not even close.
Bang! Bang! Bang!
And so imagine, he goes up to 16,000. He's basically losing his mind with excitement, but he just lost almost $200,000 the last day. But because he's suddenly forgotten about that, he's thinking, yeah, this is amazing. You're still way, way down.
I don't need to do any more. I don't need more. This is the greatest gambling run of all time. This is literally the greatest gambling run of all time.
Forget about that toxic relationship I had with Plinko. This game is it. This game is him.
You had a plan, and this is where glory is made. This is where legends are made. Is this the start of $1,000 to $1 million? Is this the start of the most legendary run of gambling history?
Based on his math, I'll call this Togi math. It's kind of like girl math, but it's Togi math. He just turned $1,000 into $64,000 in an hour. But he's not counting the hundreds of thousands of dollars that he lost in the process of doing so. Just on this upload alone, we've watched him lose out countless times. But yet he only remembers this bet. I turned $1,000 into $64. So what? You've lost more than you've won. That is the only stat that matters. Not that you won today, is that you've lost more than you've won overall.
And how about that win last night? We're ecstatic about that. Beyond ecstatic. That's the coolest thing I've ever done. I've never done anything cooler.
And so that's the coolest thing that he's ever done in his life. And so let's compare what he's done. He won $63,000, of which he'd already lost money preceding that. And to the opposite extent, he just lost his life savings on black in a previous episode. And so on the scale of what's been better or worse in his gambling career, what's worse? Winning $63,000 is great. Losing close to $200,000, it's not good. And so why are we celebrating?
Except for when I was 12. I was in the Little League World Series.
Hi, I'm Shane Stouffer, and my favorite food is pizza.
You don't get to the Little League World Series without being a great athlete. And so Togi, he's got some good genetics. That's why he's able to use steroids, train a couple days a week, sniff creatine, drink, and so on, and still mug Alex Eubank. And so before we wrap up, if you're taking any substances, supplements, and so on that might affect your blood work, consider taking blood work. Code Greg, 15% off. And remember, try not to be a degenerate gambler. Gambling is not it. It's not a cool thing to try. Just because Togi does it and he wins sometimes doesn't mean you should try it. If you get addicted, it's like that toxic girlfriend that's going to keep coming back into your life. It's not going to go away. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you in fact liked it. Watch one of those 2 bloops. And of course, the cookbooks, the training book, the Circle Diet book, coaching plans from me and my team. Also, there's a free diet and training program. It's close to 50 pages. Get to the website, join the 300,000 plus newsletter subscribers. And until next time, I am out.